Welcome back to Africa Rail. I'm still here at the Gibela stand. Gibela is the sponsor for this coffee with the editor. You guys have almost got to 300, but we're all aware that these trains are in commercial service. So the next aspect kicks in, which is the maintenance.
So our maintenance contract is called the Technical Support and the Spares Supply Agreement. In this contract, we are able to give PRASA technical support. We're also able to develop the maintenance regime for PRASA, and most importantly, we're supplying space for PRASA. So our contract started in 2016 with the trains that we got from Lapa. So at that time, we only had 18 trains, and we only had an operation in Tlomatsane in Pretoria. So fast forward, post-COVID, we are now having a presence in Gauteng South, in Braamfontein Depot. We also have a presence in KZN, in Springsville Depot, as well as in Pardon Island in Cape Town. So currently, the customer is running 156 trains on a daily basis, and they have 25 active corridors. So we are ensuring that every time that the train is required to be maintained, the tools that are required to maintain these trains are designed by us. The spare parts that are used to maintain these trains are supplied by us. And the training that PRASA requires in order for PRASA to maintain this train is supplied by us. So we provide training for maintenance. We start with the product training, familiarizing the customer with the product, how our product is designed and how it's supposed to operate. As you can imagine, our train is built from a different technology from the old fleet. So through the product familiarization, we take the customer through the different aspects of the train so that they can be familiar. Then we take them through a preventative maintenance training, where they're able to remove certain aspects of the train to maintain. Like you take your car for maintenance on a monthly basis, so our train every 2 months is required to go for maintenance. So for that, we train customer and make sure that the customer is able to do that. And every spare part that is required to maintain the train, we supply it, and we ensure that those spare parts are to the right quality and to the right standard for our train, because this is a different product altogether, different technology, so that's what we're doing. At the background, I have my team that does the actual maintenance of our train, because as you know, our train, when PRASA buys the train, we provide a 2-year warranty. So in that 2-year warranty, we make sure that every work that's required to happen on the train, we are doing the work ourselves. But at the same time, we transfer the skill to PRASA, because once our 19-year contract comes to an end, that is the type of work that PRASA will have to do themselves. The drivers that you see on the road right now, we train the drivers on how to drive the train. The train is quite intrigued with new technology. So in the beginning, it was overwhelming for the drivers. But as time goes on, our drivers are able to navigate this train and understand the built-in safety features within the train. And they know that if something happens on the train, we are in the background giving them support. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing. We're making sure that the train lasts for 40 years because its lifespan is 40 years.
What kind of technology have you brought in to the maintenance cycle? So I'm sure, because we've all been talking about condition-based monitoring, preventative, maintenance, you must have some aspect.
So ours is also a digital based maintenance. We are able to schedule the maintenance through our service execution system. So we're able to schedule. So for every train that the customer buys, we are doing the planning in the background that will then trigger a notification to the customer that this train is due for maintenance. And through that, all the maintenance instructions are built into our system, so that when the customer gets the schedule for maintenance, they know exactly what is required. They know exactly what is the tool that's required. Everything is in the tablet that we supply so that the customer can understand. We just established a service center in Midrand, so there's a background team that is able to give the customer support and the driver support on a daily basis. Our train literally speaks when there's an issue with the technology that is in it. If there's a fault en route, the train tells the driver, we're able to give the driver support from the background in order for the journey to continue so that there is no cancellation.
That's quite incredible. And has this been from the get-go of the service, or has this been something you've introduced?
It's something we introduced about 3-5 years ago, must say. So we have literally moved the customer from a paper-based maintenance regime that they used to have. So you can get into the system, log the train number, train set 278 as an example. It will give you all the history of what has happened in the train and what are the interventions that we've had in the train, including the material that has been used on the train up to date.
Coupled with that, how does this now translate into, are you going to be opening more depots in the country? And then are you looking at being able to offer this service to other customers?
The depots are owned by the customer. So far in the contract, we're supposed to be at 5 depots. So 4 of those depots are currently active. For us as Gibela, we have a niche market that we've established for ourselves in terms of component repairs and overhaul. So we established this through visiting the world, through the support that we have with the OEMs, and we have in-sourced the capabilities of repairing and overhauling components. So a component is removed from the train, as an example, is taken to our mid-range service center for diagnosis, it's repaired, it's overhauled, and it's sent back to the depots as float stock. So those are capabilities that we've had. And right now, Philippa, if I may say, electronics at a component level, we can repair. HVAC, we can repair. The compressed air in the train, we can repair. The brakes, the batteries, we can repair. And in the next 2 months, we'll be finishing that program, the transfer of technology, where we are going into heavy repairs and overhauling our gearbox, our traction motors. We're producing our traction motors in Dunota. So the repair capabilities of the traction motors are in-house in Gibela through the services business.
Is there an African strategy on the maintenance side?
Definitely, there is an African strategy. The components repairs and overhauls that I've just mentioned that we have established, it's something that we can supply to any customer. Your components of the trains are exactly the same. So in that way, we are able to provide the service anyway. We're not just looking at Africa, we're looking into South Africa, we're looking into SADC region as well. And we also have our capabilities to capacitate the customer. Those are some of the other services that we're looking into so that we can broaden our horizon. We know that in Africa, as an example, in my personal view, there might not be the financial muscle for new rolling stock, but there is an existing rolling stock a market that we can service. And through the remote monitoring as well, we can ensure that the customer is able to meet the schedule, is able to provide the trains on demand, and is able to meet their daily commercial demand through the technical support and the spares agreement that we are supplying currently. In our view, anything that we have done, especially for the fact that we decided to in-source the repair and overhaul capabilities, that puts us ahead of everyone so that we are able to give this service to anyone in the world.
And I just want to go back to the servicing that you're kind of doing now, like the fleet maintenance and overhaul, and that's obviously the light stuff as well as the heavy stuff, because you reach a certain number of kilometers, you got to lift it and overhaul it,
yes,
whatever else. So how many are you able to turn around a month? Is there like a requirement for like certain availability statistics?
Availability wise, only 10% of the fleet is scheduled for maintenance at any given point. So 90% of the fleet must be available for the customer to use for commercial service. So to give you an idea, across all our 4 depots, on average, we can have 150 maintenance visits in a month. And in that, because if your train is coming for a year maintenance, it needs to do the 2 months, the 4 months, the 6 months, and the 12 months. So the maintenance visits are always higher. At the peak, we clocked about 256 maintenance visits in a month. And our capabilities to track the compliance to maintenance is quite impressive as well, so that we are able to show that there is means of proof that this train has met the maintenance regime and has been maintained according to the standards that we have set. That is the way that we ensure that this fleet will last the 40 years that it's designed for.
And it's not just maintaining to the standards, it's also maintaining in line with the warranty.
Correct. Because as the train is in warranty, in the first 2 years, we have the suppliers that we need to hold accountable should something happen. So that's also a way to safeguard the customer, but also to give the customer the guarantee that this train for the first 2 years, we have it under control until, as you know, it reaches its path curve and is able to operate in the way that is designed.